Imagine being able to influence people's decisions without them even realizing it. These tactics, like invisible puppet strings, can guide our choices, steer our affections, and even sway our beliefs. They are potent, they are pervasive, and they are used all around us. What are these psychological tactics that seem to trick our brain? Let's delve into this captivating world and explore the power of the mind. Welcome to Brain Hub. Stay tuned until the end of the video. We will be discussing ways to protect yourself from these psychological tactics. The first psychological tactic we'll delve into is the principle of reciprocity. This principle is deeply ingrained in our social fabric, and it essentially states that if someone does something nice for us, we feel a strong compulsion to return the favor. It's like an invisible tug in our minds, urging us to balance the scales of social obligation. Let's take a moment to think about how this principle manifests itself in our everyday lives. Have you ever been handed a free sample at a supermarket? Or maybe you've been on the receiving end of an unexpected gift or a favor from a colleague. These actions, though seemingly insignificant, can trigger an automatic response within us, compelling us to reciprocate in some way. In the context of the free sample, you might find yourself feeling obligated to make a purchase, even if you hadn't initially planned to. With the unexpected gift, you might feel an urge to give something back, even if the original gift was given without any expectation of return. If a colleague helps you out with a project, you might feel a need to help them in return at a later date. But why does this happen? Well, it's all about social norms and the human desire for fairness and balance. We are wired to not like feeling indebted to others, and so we seek to return favors to rid ourselves of that sense of obligation. However, while the principle of reciprocity can foster positive interactions and strengthen social bonds, it can also be exploited. Skilled manipulators can use this principle to their advantage, offering small kindnesses or favors with the expectation of a larger return. This can lead to situations where individuals feel pressured into agreeing to requests or demands that they might not otherwise have accepted. So, the next time you find yourself feeling that tug to reciprocate, take a moment to consider why. Are you acting out of genuine gratitude, or are you being influenced by the powerful psychological tactic of reciprocity? Remember, it's not always a bad thing to say no. Yes, a simple act of kindness can be a powerful tool for manipulation. Ever felt the urge to buy something just because it's limited edition or almost out of stock? That's the scarcity principle at play. Now, let's delve into this intriguing psychological phenomenon. The scarcity principle is a persuasion technique that's grounded in a fundamental element of human nature: desire, specifically, the desire for things that are rare or hard to get. This principle is based on the idea that the more difficult something is to acquire, the more valuable it seems to us. Think about it. When something is scarce, we perceive it as more desirable, more valuable. Why? Because scarcity creates a sense of urgency, a fear of missing out. We think, if I don't act now, I may never get another chance. This fear can sometimes override our logical thinking and push us towards impulsive decisions. Now, where have you seen this principle in action? The answer is everywhere, especially in marketing and sales. Ever seen an advertisement stating limited time offer, only a few items left, or sale ends soon? These are all examples of the scarcity principle. Marketers use it to create a sense of urgency, to make you feel like you need to buy now before it's too late. Take the world of fashion, for instance. Brands often release limited edition lines that create a buzz of excitement. The scarcity of these products makes them seem more exclusive, more desirable. Or consider the launch of a new tech gadget. Companies often limit initial availability, creating a frenzy of demand. But it's not just in the world of commerce. The scarcity principle is also seen in social situations, where people are often more attracted to those who are hard to get. So why does this principle work so well? It's because we're wired to value things that are scarce. It's an instinct that dates back to our hunter-gatherer ancestors, who had to compete for limited resources. We tend to trust and follow those in positions of authority, don't we? This question introduces us to the authority principle, a psychological tactic that frequently influences our decisions and actions. The authority principle operates on our inherent trust in individuals who hold positions of power or expertise. Consider a standard visit to the doctor's office. Your physician, a figure of authority in the field of health, prescribes a new medication. Without a second thought, you accept it, trusting in their expertise and judgment. This trust is not misplaced, but it's a prime example of the authority principle at work. Our instinctive trust in authority figures often leads us to comply without question. The same goes for the field of law. When a lawyer, a figure of authority in the legal world, advises you to take a particular course of action, you're likely to follow their advice. Again, the authority principle is at play, leveraging our instinctive trust to influence our decisions. Let's take a look at the education sector. A teacher, with their authority in the world of knowledge, instructs a student to complete an assignment in a specific manner. The student follows the directions, trusting in the teacher's expertise and experience. This is yet another instance where the authority principle demonstrates its influence. The authority principle, while seemingly benign, can also be a manipulative tool. It can be used to lead people into making decisions that they might not have made independently, or to persuade them into accepting ideas they might not fully agree with. But remember, authority is not inherently negative. It's often necessary for maintaining order and function in society. The key is to be aware of its power, to question when necessary, and to ensure that our trust is not being exploited. So, while authority does command obedience, it's important to recognize that it can also be used as a manipulative tool. It's up to us to stay vigilant, to question, and most importantly, to think critically. Authority commands obedience, but it can also be a manipulative tool. Now that we know how these psychological tactics work, how do we protect ourselves from them? Well, the first step is awareness. Being cognizant of these tactics is half the battle. When we understand the ways in which our brains can be manipulated, we're better equipped to defend ourselves. It's like being in a game of chess. The more you recognize the strategies your opponent is using, the better your chances of winning. Critical thinking is our next line of defense. It's not enough to simply be aware of these tactics, we must also question them. And while it's important to trust our instincts, it's equally important to inform those instincts with knowledge. Research is a powerful tool in our arsenal. If something doesn't feel right, do your homework. Look up the product, the person, the company. Check their track record. Are there any red flags? Knowledge is an invaluable asset when it comes to countering psychological tactics. Lastly, we need to be brave enough to say no. Saying no doesn't mean you're rude or ungrateful. It means you're standing up for yourself. It means you're making an informed decision based on what's best for you. So, to counter psychological tactics, remember these 5 key strategies: awareness, critical thinking, taking a step back, doing your research, and having the courage to say no. Remember, knowledge is power. Until next time, stay vigilant and stay wise.